pocket.
I would like him to be in outer space if we could get that taken care of and put him in a rocket and send him to the moon for the weekend. But I mean, he can do it all. He can break the pocket, break contain. That's the one thing you kind of marvel at when you look at him. He's 6'4", he's 230 pounds, but he's really, really, really athletic, and he throws the ball extremely accurate on the run. But he can sit back in the pocket and do it. So it's you're picking a poison whether he's in the pocket or out of the pocket.
Coach, your defensive line played particularly well against Washington. How would you assess their development throughout the season, and in particular Wade Phillippe?
I think Wade's really come along and has played great football for us in the last 4 or 5 games. And as I thought going in that our D line would be a strength for us, and that's always been apparent to us. I think Az is the best D line coach in the country and does a great job with those guys. In the 3 years we've been here, people keep question mark going in because we've lost players from the year before. And at the end of the year, you're like, wow, the D-line played pretty good, whether it was Will Takwafu's group 2 years ago or Brandon Bear and Kenny Rowe and those guys last year. And we lost some good players. And then all of a sudden you lose Zach and Kenny and Brandon. And now all of a sudden it's Deion's making plays, Brandon Hanna's making plays, Terrell Turner's making plays, Taylor Hart's making plays. So, I've been really impressed with our D-line.
Coach, you talked about time of possession being overrated. On the flip side, if a team is able to control the ball and limit your number of possessions, would you be concerned about that hurting your opportunity to wear down their defense?
Yeah, and we don't talk about wearing down defenses. Really, for us, it's plays run. And if all of a sudden there's a huge discrepancy in plays run where one team's running 80 plays and the other team's running 50 plays, that's a problem. But if one team has the ball for, we played UCLA last year, and we had the ball for 20 minutes. They had the ball for 40 minutes. Right. We ran 2 more plays. We ran 73 plays. They ran 71 plays. So that's the part where time of possession. But if another team is running 80 plays and the other team's running 50 plays, then that's a problem. So it's opportunities, to get plays run and to perform. But if it's not just time of possession, that's why I think, if people looked at plays run, that's where I think it's becomes a problem.
Follow up on the D-line. I think Tony Washington was able to come back last week.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of impact did you get from him going forward? Can he help you?
He just strength. Yeah, he helps our rotation, and we were playing a 7-man rotation. Now we're back to an 8-man rotation with T-Dub in there. So, we just basically had to shorten the bench a little bit when he was out. But him back in, for teams running 70, 80 snaps a game, and we're going 50 and 30. I think it helps us.
Stanford's 4-3. They do anything unique with it, or is it fairly much what you've seen before?
They're actually a 3-4 team, to be honest with you. Yeah. No, we've faced them. They do a really nice job of transitioning, and they got kids who can play multiple positions. So, you'll see Chase Thomas as a defensive end on one play, then you'll see him as an outside linebacker. They can kind of mix and match and present some problems for you, but they're kind of similar to what we do defensively, so we're kind of used to it.
Coach, how does a team that uses its tight ends so well change your game plan going in against, say, a team like Washington who, doesn't use 3 tight ends every play?
Yeah, but Washington uses 2 a lot of times, so it just depends. And everybody we play on a weekly basis changes, whether it's offensively or defensively, and you just have to adjust. And really the whole preparation goes back to, it's not like, hey, this team's like a team we played 4 weeks ago. This is what they do, and our guys really getting an idea and a grasp of what the game plan is from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that's why practice each week is so important to us, because each team is kind of unique, and obviously what Stanford does is very unique, especially in this conference, because we don't see it. So,
Warren? Coach, 2 years ago, there was a lot made of a turf team going down, playing on grass. Is this a game of speed, and is there much to be said about playing on the grass there? They talk about keeping the grass high. Do you pay much attention to that?
No. I mean, we've played on UCLA's turf, grass. We've played on Arizona's grass. We've played on Arizona State's grass. We've played on USC's grass. So, I think a lot's made when you lose on grass. Then obviously it's the grass's fault. But when you win, then no one talks about, are you playing on grass? So, I mean, we just play. They want us to play in a parking lot. We'll play in a parking lot. So.
Where are the breakdowns on the missed field goals last week, and is that a competitive situation between Alejandro and Rob going forward?
Yeah, it is a competitive situation, and the breakdowns were really just timing issues by Alejandro. So. Yeah, he does all the time. And that's the one thing. We know going into a game, we don't say, hey, he's really good from 35, so let's kick a 50. We talk about a pregame, where's he good from, and when we're in a situation we have to make a decision, I defer to Oz. What's he good for? Yeah, he's good. So, we know what our guys can kick pregame. We know what our guys have kicked during the week in practice. So it's all charted out for us, and we know when we're in 4-down territory or when we're in, we got a shot at kicking a field goal. So.
Pregame, that's one thing I look at when they're warming up.
Yeah, how's he feel? What's the things? Because a lot of times you can say, hey, this kid's good from 45, but then you get to a ballpark and there's a lot of wind. Well, he's good from 50 going one way because the wind's at his back, but he's only good from 30 going the other way. So.
Shaw is in a similar situation you were in a few years ago, taking over an established program already and trying to take it to the next level. What have you seen, and how has he put his stamp on down there at Stanford?
I'll give him a ton of credit because it's been seamless. So, I think sometimes when it's there's, a drop-off offensively, drop-off defensively, what did they do? Are there different coaches coming in? But they seem like they haven't missed a beat from last year's team. And, obviously I think they won 17 straight or 18 straight, whatever the record is right now. They got the longest streak of consecutive winning games in 1A. So I think David's done a really good job. And that's not an easy task either. But he's done a good job, I think, in putting a coaching staff together, because not only did Jim leave, but Greg Roman left, Vic Fangio left. There's some other guys that left that staff to go to the 49ers. So, he's done a great job of putting together a staff and really implementing his plan and what he wants to do.
That defense?
They've got good players at every level, but, Chase Thomas, I think, leads our league in either sacks or tackles for loss, or he's right near the top. He's a kid that jumps off the film at you. Their whole group of linebackers, Tarpley, Bergen, Lancaster, who's taken over for Shane Scove, who was, arguably their best player. And they've got some physical players out back in the secondary that have played a lot of football for them. But, to get to that level, they're good everywhere. There's guys on the defensive line, and Stevens and Gardner. Trent Murphy, the other outside linebacker, is a kid that you really got to keep an eye on. So, they've got a lot of weapons on the defensive side of the ball. That's why they're the top defense in our conference right now.
Brian? Coach, up here. Here you go.
Brian?
Hey, Coach. Is there anything that you can take from the LSU game and their rushing game that you can apply in the game plan with Stanford as far as, like, the power that they use?
A little bit, but, they do it a little bit differently. There's still principles that you apply when you're facing two back sets and a tight end. But the one thing that makes Stanford diverse is all of a sudden they'll have 6 linemen in the game, or they'll have 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends, which is a little bit different than the way LSU approached the game. So,
talk a bit about DeWitt Stuckey and the impact he seems to have made with the defense this year.
DeWitt's played great for us all year long, been our most consistent linebacker, started every game for us, is really just one of those guys that has a great understanding of what our defensive scheme is, and then a really good understanding of what the other offense is trying to do to feed us. And he's been the real, I kind of guess, the key to us on the defensive side of the ball, just because he's been the most consistent player in there. Michael Clay is a great linebacker, but Michael's missed a few games. Kiko's missed a few games. So really DeWitt's been the one guy at the inside that we can count on, and he's done a great job of it. And to be a senior and finally get his chance, because he played behind Spencer and Casey. He's taken full advantage of every snap he's gotten and really has played at a high level.
Talking to your offensive line guys, they were saying these linebackers stand out as guys who are more prone to want to hit you than run around you than a lot of groups. Is that how you would assess them? Are they a really physical group that way?
It's a real physical group. They have a mindset at Stanford of, they want to be physical in what they do offensively, they want to be physical in what they do defensively, and that's that's what those guys do. And they're good. They're all good-sized kids. They're 240, 235, 233, 246. They're built for a reason.
Seems like, you mentioned their offense versus your defense. Seems like Stanford has a knack for, like, 2nd and 4, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. I know there's always an emphasis, but is it even more emphasis on how you guys play 1st and 2nd down against that?
Yeah, and that's always the key to being a great 3rd down defense is what goes on the downs before that. And they do a very good job of being efficient on 1st down and 2nd down, so that they're one of the top teams in the country at converting 3rd downs, because they're always usually in 3rd and medium and 3rd and short as opposed to 3rd and long. And that's kind of their mentality. They're a run-first operation. But you can't get caught up in that, because if you do, they'll throw some play-action passes over your head. So I think everybody really has to be very sound in understanding what their assignment and their role is and what our defense does.
You touched on it there a little bit, but how does their run offense set up their pass offense?
It's because Andrew's such a good ball faker, number one, and then they have so many weapons in there, so multi-formational that you don't, they're not in the same formation every play. So, first it's 2 tight ends, then it's 3 tight ends, then it's no tight ends, then the fullback's motioning out, then they're unbalanced, and is that kid eligible on the backside or not ineligible on the backside? There's 6 offensive linemen in the game. They really keep you guessing, and then by the time you kind of figure out what they're in, then they snap the ball and they're gone. So we got to be really sharp as they break the huddle in terms of our guys getting lined up quickly and making sure we identify the eligible receivers.
Coach, no question Stanford is big on both sides of the football, but can a case be made for speed and technique to beat them? Would that be a good, sound way to beat their size?
Sure. Yes. I'm agreeing with you.
Is too much being made then of your size? I mean, we've talked about it with Auburn and with LSU. I think speed is a good way to beat a bigger team.
I don't understand the question. I mean, Wade Killakepe and Ricky Hamuli are bigger than any offensive lineman they have. So, I mean, I don't think there's a size discrepancy in our D-line. Isaac Remington's a 6'5", good-sized guy. So I don't think we look at it that way, to be honest with you. And if you look at our offensive lineman, Mark Asper's 6'7", 323 pounds. We've got Darian Weems is a 300-pounder. Nick Cody's up near there. We've got decent size. Carson York's 6'5", 295. So we've got decent-sized guys on our side of the ball too. So.
You guys have been pretty good in kick coverage, punts and kickoffs. They're pretty highly ranked in both. Mm-hmm. Particularly dangerous returners, or are they doing things with the other 10 guys that are tough to deal with?
It's both. Brian Polian, their special teams coordinator, does a really, really good job, and they've been really well-coached team. And it's a key to any game. But I mean, when you pit the 2 teams like we are in the conference right now, you're not going to get, someone's not going to get to where Stanford is, or someone's not going to get to where Oregon is and not be great on special teams. And they know there's I would imagine, and I haven't seen them practice, but I'm sure there's a big emphasis for them in practice, just like it is for us in practice. But that's a matchup to watch in the games, is how good they return the ball and how good do we cover.
Don, let's go back and see if there are any more questions on the phone. Please press *1 to ask a question of Coach.
I don't know what the reason is, AJ, but I've said all along that I think we've got an outstanding defense. And I think the numbers bear it out, and it's been that way for the last 3 years. So write some more stories about it, AJ.
Will do.
And there are no further audio questions. I do apologize. We did get a question from the line of Ted Miller with ESPN.com.
Chip, how often does Andrew Luck make teams pay for blitzing him, for trying to use 5 or 6 rushers?
Too often. He's really good at it. That's the one thing that I think separates him, besides his athletic ability, just how smart he is. Ted is, he can see the whole field, and he can pick up blitzes, and he's really, really sharp. That's why he's the whole package, is that he does, obviously the size and the athletic ability and the arm and all the other stuff, but just really how intelligent he is, and it's tough to kind of fool him.
Any more questions?
And there are no further.
No, there's a size discrepancy between our D-line and LSU's D-line, and I still will say that. I mean, I saw those guys in person, and they keep rolling them through. They got 8, 9, 10 guys that are gigantic guys, But again, we're not playing LSU. I think we match up with Stanford from a size standpoint. That's what was my comment earlier.
Yeah, Chip, taking a look back at last year's game with Stanford, what sort of factors allowed you your defense to be so successful against them in that second half?
I think we did a better job of pressuring Andrew in the second half than we did in the first half. When we could kind of get some push and get after him a little bit more, and I think that. That's the big thing. If you can and not let him set his feet, and like any quarterback, I think if you can disrupt the launch point for a quarterback, that's the key to playing good pass defense. Just if a guy can sit back there all day long, and eventually he's going to be able to find out where the receivers are and put the ball on the target. But I think we just pressured him a little bit more in the second half, and it's tough because he knows where it's coming and can really change his protections and do those things. But that kind of becomes the cat and mouse game between Andrew and Nick, to be honest with you.
Coach, Jackson Rice having a great year. Are you maybe more apt to punt than go for it on some of those marginal fourth downs against a guy like Andrew Luck because Jackson Rice is doing so well?
Now, our decisions are based upon a lot of factors. It's not just Jackson. It's how's our defense playing? Do we have guys banged up? Is someone injured in this situation? Is it a workable third down? A fourth down? Is it a 4th and 4 as opposed to a 4th and 14? What's the transition in terms of how many yards are you going to get if it ends up being a touchback? Is it you're on your 39 and it's a 19-yard gain, or can you pin him down deep? But obviously having Jackson as a weapon factors into that, but he's not the only decision that we base all that stuff on going for on fourth down or punting on fourth down.
Earlier in the year, I read that Coach Shaw has allowed Andrew to call plays from the line of scrimmage. Does that change how you guys approach things, trying to defend him, trying to read what he's got in mind to run against you at all?
No. We have a plan, and you can't tell who's calling the plays, whether it's Dave or Pep or Andrew. We're still, defending down and distances and personnel in the game and all those other things. And you also know, we're 9-10 games in, so we've got, 9 or 10 game breakdown on them. So, what are they apt to do from a percentage standpoint in this situation? And that's what we base all of our stuff off of.
Anything else? Thank you.